All right, welcome to today's explainer. If you've ever just stared at a jar of local golden honey and thought, man, I'd really love to make this in my own backyard, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're mapping out the beginner's blueprint to keeping bees, and I really want to stress this right from the jump. This is not some daunting, impossible task. It's actually an exciting, beautifully structured onboarding process. We're going to take you from a total novice to a confident manager of your very own buzzing and, occasionally stinging metropolis.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our blueprint for today. We'll start by meeting the honeybee, check out the essential gear, navigate the rules and regulations, look at getting your first bees, and finally, managing your hive.
All right, Section 1. Meet the honeybee, the cast of characters.
So, 60,000. I really want that number to sink in for a second. When you decide to become a beekeeper, you're not just, getting a pet. You are taking on the responsibility for a population that can literally reach up to 60,000 individual bees in just a single productive colony. I mean, imagine trying to manage 60,000 roommates all working together in total harmony. It's a massive, awe-inspiring scale, and as their manager, it's basically on you to set them up for success.
And right at the heart of those 60,000 citizens is just one single bee, the queen. And the number 1,500, that's what makes her so absolutely crucial. During the peak spring and summer seasons, a healthy queen can lay up to 1,500 eggs every single day. She is, for all intents and purposes, the ultimate egg-laying machine. She's actually the largest member of the colony, and she's got this long body specifically adapted to back into those little hexagonal cells to lay her eggs. Her entire existence is completely dedicated to keeping that population number up.
But as you can see here, the vast majority of the colony are the workers. Now, workers are all females, and honestly, they run the show. Their roles are incredibly diverse. They forage for nectar and pollen, they secrete wax from little glands on their abdomens to build the intricate combs, they feed the young, and yeah, they fiercely defend the colony with their barbed stings. Now, we should mention the male drones, too. Drones are larger, kind of rectangular, and they have these massive compound eyes with like 8,000 lenses. But unlike the workers, they don't have a sting, and they don't forage at all. Literally, their only job in life is to mate with a virgin queen on the wing outside the hive.
Moving on to Section 2, Essential Beekeeping Gear, hardware for you and the bees.
And this brilliantly illustrates the basic setup. In nature, bees prefer nesting in dark, protective cavities, like tree hollows, right? Well, these modular stacked wooden boxes perfectly replicate that natural environment. They keep the colony safe, weatherproof, and highly organized. Plus, the modular design is brilliant because it allows you to just add more space on top as the colony grows and start storing surplus honey for you to harvest later on.
Now, obviously, you can't just stroll up to a hive in a t-shirt and flip-flops. Your first aid kit is all about safety. You'll need a full protective suit with a veil to protect your face, thick beekeeping gloves, and a smoker. The smoker is essential. It uses cool smoke to naturally calm the bees while you inspect them. You'll also need a specialized metal hive tool because bees glue everything together and you'll need it to pry apart the sticky boxes, plus a feeder to supply sugar syrup during their critical spring buildup. The best advice from the experts: just buy all of this together in a beginner's starter kit. It guarantees you're fully protected before you ever pop the lid off a box. So, inside those wooden boxes go these frames. You fit them with what's called a foundation sheet. It's basically a thin layer of wax pre-impressed with the hexagonal pattern of bee cells. Think of it like a structural blueprint. It compels the bees to build nice, uniform, straight worker cells over the foundation, which they then use for raising their brood and storing honey. Without these sheets, total chaos. The bees would just build interconnected comb everywhere, making it literally impossible for you to safely manage the hive.
Okay, Section 3. Rules and regulations. The red tape.
So the crucial point here is that you have to complete this mandatory legal sequence before you even think about starting. Beekeeping isn't some rogue, off-the-grid hobby. First, you have to register as a beekeeper with your state. Second, you'll be issued a Hive Identification Number, or HIN, which you physically have to brand or stencil onto your gear. And third, you need to complete a free biosecurity online training, usually called BOLT. Look, these steps are non-negotiable. If an exotic disease breaks out, the authorities need to know exactly where every single hive is to protect the entire industry.
And here's a kind of surprising but totally critical rule, especially if you're an urban beekeeper. You are legally required to provide a source of clean water within 200 meters of your hive. Why? Well, bees actually need water to cool the hive down and dilute their honey. If you don't give it to them nearby,
Your 60,000 thirsty bees are going to go looking for it. And guess what the closest source usually is? Yep, your neighbor's swimming pool or bird bath. That is a really quick way to make your hive a massive nuisance to the whole neighborhood.
All right, section 4, getting your first bees, acquisition and installation.
Look, if there's literally one piece of advice that kept popping up across all our sources, it's this: join your local beekeeping club. Honestly, before you spend a single dime on bees, join a club. They have hands-on days where you can get in a suit, get your hands sticky, and see if you actually even enjoy it. But more than that, local clubs give you vital mentorship, knowledge about the specific plants blooming in your area, and they are hands down the safest, most reliable way to buy your first batch of healthy bees.
Now, we need to bust a massive myth right here. A lot of people think, oh, I'll just cut your free wild swarm from a tree and start my hive. Do not do this if you are a beginner. Wild swarms carry a huge risk of disease, and their temperaments can be totally unpredictable and aggressive. Instead, as a novice, you should always buy a nucleus colony, which beekeepers just call a nuke. A nuke is basically a mini established colony on a few frames of comb. It comes with a young, proven laying queen, and because it's bred by a pro, the bees are calm, healthy, and just completely perfect for someone learning the ropes.
Timing is also a real game changer here. Spring, which, if you're in temperate southern Australia, is around September to October, is absolutely the optimal window to install your first nuke. Getting them set up in the spring gives the new colony the warming weather and a full, glorious season of blooming flowers. They're going to need all those incoming resources to build out their comb and boost their population up before the harsh winter weather rolls in.
Finally, Section 5, managing your hive, the ongoing commitment. Let's move to the calendar and see how this builds into a seasonal rhythm. It's a real cycle. In spring, you're super active, you're feeding them sugar syrup to help them produce wax, and you're inspecting the hive every 7 to 8 days so they don't get congested, because if they do, they might just swarm and fly away. Come summer, you're monitoring for pests like mites and beetles and, fingers crossed, harvesting some honey. In autumn, you might need to requeen the hive, basically swapping out an older queen for a young, vigorous one to keep the hive strong. And then in winter, your job is mostly hands-off protection. You reduce the size of the hive entrance to keep out cold drafts or mice, and you just leave the box closed until spring comes back around.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the brood comb itself. When you pop the lid during those active spring inspections, this is what you're looking at. Those brown, capped cells, they contain developing bee pupa. And if you look closely at the open cells, you'll see tiny white larvae. You're opening the hive to make sure this brood pattern is solid. A nice, tight pattern tells you that you've got a healthy laying queen. But you're also scanning these exact cells for devastating notifiable diseases, like American or European foul brood. Those can literally wipe out a colony and spread to others if you don't catch them early.
And keeping things clean brings us to this best practice maintenance tip. You should definitely aim to rotate out about 20% of your old dark brood comb for fresh wax foundation every single year. See, over time, the combs naturally get dark, and they can start to harbor disease spores or even chemical residues. So continuously cycling in fresh frames keeps the internal environment of the hive super clean, hygienic, and highly productive for generations of bees down the line.
So, we've covered the fascinating biology of the hive, the essential gear you need, the red tape you've got to navigate, and the seasonal rhythms of keeping everything running smoothly. It really is this brilliant, structured craft that just connects you so deeply to nature. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to manage a 60,000 citizen metropolis right there in your own backyard? If the answer is yes, get out there, find your local club, grab a beginner's kit, and start your journey. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and we will catch you next time.